Did you know that every year, more people die from falling coconuts than from shark attacks? Yes, you heard it right. It's not the menacing shark fins slicing through the ocean waves you should be worried about, but rather that seemingly innocent coconut hanging overhead. It's a startling fact, but it's just one example of how death can come in the most unexpected ways. From the dawn of history to the present day, people have met their end in some truly unusual and, let's face it, dumb ways. And today, we're going to explore just a few of these peculiar ends. Let's start with our coconut fact. It's more than just an amusing piece of trivia. It's a stark reminder of misplaced fears. We humans have a knack for fearing the wrong things. We're terrified of sharks, yet more people are killed each year by falling coconuts. This doesn't mean you should start a campaign against coconuts or stop enjoying your favorite tropical drink, but it does highlight how, sometimes, our fears can be wildly out of sync with reality. But why talk about coconuts and sharks when we have such a rich tapestry of historical deaths to explore? The annals of history are filled with people meeting their maker in the strangest, most ironic, and yes, dumbest ways possible. From ancient Greek playwrights being taken out by tortoises dropped from the sky, to medieval kings eating themselves to death, the range and variety of these deaths are as astounding as they are bizarre. By now, you're probably wondering what could be more absurd than death by coconut. Well, let me tell you, we've got a few stories that will make falling coconuts seem absolutely pedestrian. From Greek lawmakers being smothered in cloaks to American lawyers shooting themselves while trying to prove a point, the world of history is a veritable treasure trove of bizarre fatalities. Now that we've got your attention, brace yourself as we dive into the chronicles of the dumbest deaths in history. Our first notable case takes us back to ancient Greece. Here we meet Draco, an Athenian lawmaker whose name has been immortalized in the term draconian, referring to his harsh, stringent laws. His death, however, was anything but draconian. In a strange turn of events, Draco was smothered to death by an onslaught of cloaks. Yes, you heard that right, cloaks. During a visit to the theater in Aegina, his supporters, in an overzealous act of admiration, decided to shower him with their cloaks. The sheer number of cloaks piled onto Draco was so great that he suffocated under them. This bizarre incident serves as a stark reminder of the unpredictability of life. One moment, Draco was basking in the adoration of his supporters. The next, he was gasping for breath under a mountain of clothing. While there are certainly worse ways to go, dying under a pile of clothes is not the most dignified exit. Fast forward to the 18th century, we meet a king with a sweet tooth. This is the tale of King Adolf Frederick of Sweden, a man of royal descent who had a weakness for the finer things in life. He was particularly fond of lavish feasts, and his ultimate demise came about in the most surprising of ways. On a fateful day in 1771, King Adolf Frederick decided to indulge in a grand meal. He dined on lobster, savored caviar, enjoyed sauerkraut, relished kippers, and washed it all down with champagne. But it didn't stop there. The king then proceeded to devour 14 servings of his favorite dessert, a semla stuffed with almond paste and served in a bowl of hot milk. His indulgence, however, proved to be his downfall. The king's body, overwhelmed by the sheer volume of food, gave out. King Adolf Frederick of Sweden died from digestive complications. He literally ate himself to death, proving that too much of a good thing can indeed be fatal. Next, we head to 19th century Ireland for a wedding that went terribly wrong. Picture this, a groom, eager to create the perfect space for his wedding celebration, decided to take matters into his own hands. He saw a field overrun with rocks and debris and thought, what better way to clear this but with dynamite? A quick solution, sure, but not without its risks. With a hopeful heart and dynamite in hand, he set out to transform this rocky terrain into a lover's paradise. But alas, the dynamite exploded prematurely. The explosion was massive, a spectacle that left the onlookers in shock. The groom unfortunately didn't survive this explosive endeavor. It's a tragic tale, one of love and loss, of a man so dedicated to his wedding day that he quite literally went out with a bang. A sobering reminder of the unpredictable nature of life and the risks of taking shortcuts. Certainly that's one way to make a wedding unforgettable. In our penultimate tale, we encounter a lawyer who ironically proved his case a little too well. Enter Clement Vallandigham, a name that's quite a mouthful, much like the story surrounding his demise. Vallandigham wasn't just any lawyer, he was a 19th century lawyer with a penchant for theatricality. He was the kind of attorney who would do anything to prove his point, even if that meant putting his own life on the line. It was the year 1871 and Vallandigham found himself embroiled in a murder case defending a man accused of shooting another during a barroom brawl. The prosecution argued that the accused had purposefully shot the victim while Vallandigham insisted it was an accident. So, how do you prove such a thing in a court of law? Well, Vallandigham had an idea, a dramatic reenactment, and so he set out to demonstrate how the victim might have accidentally shot himself. With a loaded pistol in hand. Yes, you heard that correctly. A loaded pistol. Vallandigham enacted his theory. But as fate would have it, the demonstration took a horrific turn. Vallandigham, in his fervor to prove his case, ended up shooting himself. The court was thrown into chaos and Vallandigham was rushed to the hospital. However, the wound proved fatal and Vallandigham met his untimely end. But here's the twist in the tale. Vallandigham's unfortunate accident ended up proving his point beyond a shadow of a doubt. The jury, swayed by the bizarre and tragic turn of events, acquitted his client. One could say Vallandigham had won his case, but at a terrible cost. His story is a grim reminder of how far some people will go for their convictions. It's also a cautionary tale about the dangers of loaded guns and overzealous lawyers. But more than anything, it's a testament to the fact that truth really is stranger than fiction. In the end, Vallandigham won his case but lost his life. From a cloak-smothered lawmaker to a dessert-loving king, history is full of people who've met their end in bizarre ways. As we've delved into the annals of history, we've encountered some truly peculiar accounts. It's often said that truth can be stranger than fiction, and these stories of untimely demises certainly prove that adage right. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. We started our journey with Draco, the ancient Greek lawmaker, who found himself at the receiving end of an ironic twist of fate. His own laws, which were famously harsh, ultimately led to his downfall. It wasn't an execution or a revolt that claimed Draco's life, but rather an over-enthusiastic crowd of supporters who, in their zeal to shower him with their cloaks, suffocated him. It's a strange and somewhat comical tale, reminding us that even in the most well-intentioned gestures, danger can lurk. Next, we turned our gaze to King Adolf Frederick of Sweden, a man whose love for dessert proved to be his downfall. His royal status and unlimited resources allowed him to indulge in his favorite pastime, eating. But one fateful day, his insatiable appetite for sweet treats, semla pastries in particular, led to his untimely end. He consumed 14 servings of his favorite dessert, following a meal of lobster, caviar, sauerkraut, kippers, and champagne. This gluttonous feast was simply too much for his body to handle, leading to his death. It's a tale that serves as a poignant reminder of the dangers of excess. Our journey continued with the tale of an unnamed groom who met his end in a spectacularly explosive fashion. On his wedding day, no less. In his excitement to celebrate his nuptials, he made a fatal error. He filled his pockets with celebratory fireworks, only to have them accidentally ignited by a stray spark from his own cigar. The resulting explosion was sadly lethal. And finally, we recounted the tale of Clement Vallandigham, a lawyer who was so committed to proving his point, he ended up proving it all too well. In an attempt to demonstrate how a man could accidentally shoot himself, Vallandigham enacted the scene, not realizing that the gun was loaded. His demonstration was tragically successful, resulting in his own demise, a stark reminder of the dangers of taking things too literally. These historical deaths serve as a reminder that sometimes, truth is indeed stranger than fiction. Each of these stories, while bizarre and somewhat comical, also carry important lessons about excess, recklessness, and the importance of being aware of our surroundings. As we navigate our own lives, it's worth remembering these tales not just for their entertainment value, but also for their underlying messages. Until next time, stay safe and watch out for those coconuts!